What
Jesus
is
Christ,
that
just
shit
imagine.
right there, bro?
Oh, isn't that dope? That's a Japanese artist made it for me. Isn't that sick?
Bro, the Japanese are on some shit, bro.
Definitely.
We need to look into
You know,
the Japanese.
that's the only people that the Mongols didn't take over.
And why?
Because the samurais fucked them up. The Mongols showed up and they tried to take over Japan on several occasions, more than one occasion. And every time they were met with these fucking dudes who actually knew how to fight and were sword trained, they were shooting arrows at distances, and they're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? Like, they were like if you think about samurais.
What the fuck was a samurai? Like
Japan was the origins of karate, judo, jujitsu. All that shit came out of Japan.
But we're talking
All
about feudal Japan? Like we're talking about kingdoms and
Those
such?
cyclones saved them.
Japanese have always attributed their victory to storms and that wrecked the Mongols' fleets during both attempted invasions in 1274 and 1281. They concluded that Japan was protected from invasion by a divine wind, or kamikaze, which was invoked in World War II to inspire pilots to launch suicide attacks on Allied ships. So it could be storms, but also they fought. They definitely had hand-to-hand combat.
And a samurai was like, what is the equivalent of that today? Is that like a military dude, or is that like a street dude?
I mean, eventually they became ronins. There was like a period of time during Musashi's era where there were mostly like samurais without a master, and they would have like one-on-one duels. That's like the Book of Five Rings is based on Miyamoto Musashi's writings about.
I don't know the book.
Well, the greatest book of strategy, and like it was a guy who killed 62 men, at least 60 men in one-on-one armed like sword fights.
Because you could come up to someone and just be like, "It's
They
on."
would make duels. They would decide to have duels, and I don't
that's
know if
to the death.
to the death with swords.
Fucking.
And Musashi killed everybody.
He was that
and
dude.
he just became the boogeyman. Yeah, he became the boogeyman. But his philosophy was that to be a great swordsman, you had to be good at calligraphy, you had to be good at poetry, you had to be able to make art.
Bro, imagine the dude that killed your dad was a poet. Bro, imagine your dad died, and then the next day he's like, flowers are green, flowers are blue.
I don't think we're talking about like haikus. I think we're talking about different kinds of poetry.
But he's trying to be well-rounded, I guess.
100%. Yeah, that any holes in your game, any like fake shit will expose itself in one-on-one combat.
I wonder if like John Jones would be the modern-day version of the elite samurai.
Well,
like, are we looking at these guys like these UFC dudes? Are we like, oh, this is the modern day version of it? We just have a structure for them to operate in.
It's sort of like that, but it's actually probably more satisfying to the fighter because you're a modern day version in a thing where you're not going to get killed,
right?
But you could get killed, right? There is that
Absolutely.
reality. Most likely you won't. They have very good medical staff, but there's also that you are competing with your willpower, your technique, your knowledge, your fucking physical gifts, and you're doing it in front of the world.
Yeah.
And the rewards, like if you want to be John Jones, like good luck. It's a lot of work. But if you get to be John Jones, like wow. Imagine that feeling. Imagine that feeling of strangling Cyril Gahn like fucking minute into the fight. And everybody being like, wow, he's the GOAT. That's
the baddest man on the planet.
He's the GOAT. Yeah, there's no one thinks like Tyson Fury could beat John Jones in a fight.
Isn't that fucking interesting?
No one thinks that. Tyson doesn't think that. You want to talk about who's the baddest man on the planet? If John Jones and Tyson Fury are locked into a room,
game over.
I'm pushing all my chips on black. I'm just fucking... I'm like, let me tell you something. Tyson Fury is an amazing boxer. He doesn't have a fucking chance in hell of making it out of that room.
That crazy?
He has no chance of making it out of that room.
Isn't that crazy?
Zero chance.
So if you,
he would have to like catch John.
He have to catch him immediately.
Immediately with one punch, and I just don't see that happening, man. The threat of the takedown looms so large. That shot will come so unexpectedly. When he gets his hands around you, you'll be so stunned.
So what is that like being John? Like, what is that like thinking there isn't another man on the planet that could do anything to you in hand-to-hand combat?
Pretty awesome.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm sure he feels great.
Yeah, the size of Fortune
Fuck.
500 companies
Yeah.
right now. Don't forget that.
Pretty nice.
Wow.
It's also a fleeting thing, right? Because when you get to be 40 and 42 and 43, it goes away. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
What about his brothers? Did you think he thinks he could fuck up his brothers?
Dude, what great sperm.
Good question.